The National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center is responsible for forecasting severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, large hail across the continental United States, 48 lower states. We issue the tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches for the country. But prior to those watches being issued, we issue forecasts called outlooks, severe weather outlooks, and they can go out to 7 days. We're going to make a change in the day 3 and the day 2 and the day 1 outlook as we approach the events that adds more categorical descriptions to those forecasts. It's important to emphasize that these are not warnings. What we're conveying here is an outlook forecast, and these are out a day or two in advance of the big severe weather event. Warnings aren't issued until the danger is imminent. So what we're talking about here is an extended range forecast looking at the potential for severe weather. And for a long time, the Storm Prediction Center provided its information to other meteorologists. But now, in the modern era with the internet, anybody can look at these graphics. So it's our responsibility to try to convey that risk information in a way that's a little easier to understand for the layperson as opposed to the expert. So what we're hoping to do with these categories is convey that risk with meaningful words and colors and numbers. But again, these are outlooks. The probability of these events, usually in the day 3 to 2 range, is relatively low. We're not talking about warnings here, we're talking about forecasts or outlooks. The Storm Prediction Center for over a decade has been providing detailed forecasts, what we call outlooks of severe weather, using probabilities. And we know that probabilities are somewhat difficult for the general public to grasp. And so what we're trying to do is convey the level of risk in words, using categorical descriptions from a low-end probability of marginal to a very high-end or high-confidence forecast, such as a high-risk day. So what we're trying to do here is use those underlying probabilities that have many different ranges. We can go from a low probability of 2% to as high as 60%. And it's important to understand these numbers are low because what we're trying to forecast is relatively difficult. There's often very little confidence, especially in the extended range, about tornado events. So the underlying probabilities are necessarily low. But we're dividing that underlying probability up in categorical descriptions, 5 of them, from a low end of marginal, slightly higher, slight risk, enhanced slight, moderate risk, and then high risk. And those categorical descriptions will also go along with numbers 1 through 5 and also colors from cool to hot.